Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Earlier this week, CBSE reduced its syllabus for students of classes 9 to 12 in wake of COVID-19, excluding topics like federalism, nationalism and secularism for the academic year 2020 to 21. So in KYC or Know Your Constitution this week, we told you about federalism and how the Supreme Court has ruled it to be an essential feature of the Constitution. Now a country can be either a unitary or a federal system depending on how the Constitution organizes power. So in a federal system, political power is decentralized and split between the central government and the states. As against this, in a unitary form of government, the central government has all the power. For example, Sri Lanka and Britain have a unitary system while the United States has a federal system in place. As for India, Article 1 of the Constitution describes it as a union of states and doesn't mention federalism even once in the Constitution. So it's often a matter of debate among scholars. Some believe that India is completely federal, while others call it quasi-federal instead, and some others believe that it is a combination of federal and unitary systems. Let me give you some examples. Now, the essence of a federation is the distribution of powers between the center and the states. The Indian Constitution does provide for this by 3 lists in the 7th schedule. The union, the state and the concurrent lists mention the subjects on which central or state governments can make laws. But then in the United States, which is a clear federation of states, the federal government cannot alter the boundaries of the states. In India, that is not the case. Articles 2 and 3 do allow the central government to admit new states or create new ones, alter their boundaries and their names, and unite or divide states. In fact, using this power, the government recently converted the state of Jammu and Kashmir into 2 union territories. Nonetheless, the Supreme Court has several times over accepted that the Constitution does create a federation, albeit with a bias towards the center. It has also ruled that federalism is an essential and basic feature of the Constitution. The meetings of parliamentary committees have also resumed with new social distancing norms after being adjourned in March because of COVID-19 outbreak. So in KYC, we told you about these committees, what they are, what they do, and the constitutional provision from which they derive their authority. Now, the Constitution does not specifically mention parliamentary committees, but Article 118 allows each House of Parliament to make rules for regulation of its procedure and conduct of business. This is, of course, subject to other provisions of the Constitution. So, drawing authority from Article 118, the functioning of these committees is regulated by the rules of procedure and conduct of business in Lok Sabha and the rules of procedure and conduct of business in Council of States, that is the Rajya Sabha. These committees are essentially miniature parliaments in themselves. They usually have members across party lines from both the houses. Broadly, there are of 2 types: ad hoc committees and standing committees. While standing committees are more permanent in nature and are constituted for a fixed tenure, ad hoc committees are appointed for a specific purpose and cease to exist as soon as the task assigned to them is finished. So an ad hoc committee can be a select committee formed to look into a specific bill. For example, a select committee was set up to look into the Surrogacy Regulation Bill 2019, and another ad hoc committee was constituted to look into the 2G scam. As against this, there are departmentally related standing committees. They essentially cover all the ministries and departments of the Government of India. So there's a committee on Home Affairs and another one on Human Resource Development. They focus on long-term plans and policies to guide the working of the executive. There are 24 departmentally related standing committees in total, 16 from the Lok Sabha and 8 from the Rajya Sabha. A good deal of the Parliament's business is conducted by these committees. They often invite inputs from experts and other stakeholders too. While the recommendations of these committees are not binding, they generally hold weight. On Friday morning, the country woke up to the news of UP gangster Vikas Dubey being shot dead. The police said that he was killed in an alleged encounter after a road accident while he was being taken to Kanpur from Madhya Pradesh. As for what will happen next, the Supreme Court had in 2014 laid down guidelines on how encounter killings should be investigated while emphasizing on the fundamental rights under Article 21, and that's what we told you about next on KYC. The judgment dates back to 23rd September 2014 in the case of People's Union for Civil Liberties versus State of Maharashtra. The court was dealing with petitions questioning the correctness of over 90 encounter killings by the Mumbai police between 1995 and 1997. In its detailed order, the 2-judge bench of the Supreme Court emphasized on the right to life and the right to live with human dignity under Article 21. It asserted that this guarantee under Article 21 is available to every person and that even the government has no authority to violate this right. The court acknowledged that the police in India have to perform a difficult task dealing with hardcore criminals, but it added that even such criminals should be brought to justice by following the rule of law, which is an essential part of the Constitution, by finding out if the encounter was fake or genuine. The Supreme Court accordingly laid down 16 guidelines to be followed for investigating encounter deaths. Among other things, it said that an independent investigation needs to be conducted into the encounter either by the CID or a police team from another police station. If the investigation finds that the death amounted to an offence under the Indian Penal Code, disciplinary action should be taken against the police officer and he should be suspended. It also provided for compensation to be paid to the victim. This is to be as per the provisions of the Code of Criminal Procedure. The court further said that no out-of-turn promotion or instant bravery awards should be given to the officers right after the incident. It said that these rewards should be given only once their bravery is established beyond doubt. This is Apurva Mandhani for The Print. For more such videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.